Hello, 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 beautiful souls. Welcome to Angels in Action. And here I am, Susie Antara, waiting on the beautiful Larkin. I'm sure and hope she will be joining us very shortly. But welcome to this, wow, where are we? The 18th of December. And I think this must be our 4th or 5th week of doing Angels in Action. And it feels like we have been doing this forever. So I just wanted to say hi, welcome to you all. I'm just going to check that we are actually going live on Facebook. So there's nothing worse than starting a live and noticing that it's not happening. So yay, we are live on Facebook. So welcome, welcome, welcome everybody. It's so fabulous to be here. And whilst we're waiting for Larkin, I will perhaps bring you up to date a little bit on what's been going on for me this past week, in fact. And it's been an extremely busy time. For those of you who've been watching every week and perhaps watched my previous lives when I've not been doing Angels in Action, but just doing lives on my Facebook page, you may or may not notice that the background is different. I have moved house. And with the blessings of the angels and the universe and working to manifest the right home, I have moved into this amazing house that I've got here now. And it all happened in a very, very short space of time. So I am extremely grateful for the angels and the universe for helping me with this move. But boy, does it take its toll when you're doing it yourself. Very blessed to have my youngest son help me. We loaded up the van on Friday, not once, not twice, but 3 times to get everything moved into the new house and get settled. And I have to say, I've been here since Friday and it feels like I've been here forever. It's a beautiful home. I absolutely love it. And there's just going to be so much fun and magic to be created in this home. Talking of magic and creation, I have been creating, I mentioned them briefly last week in this, towards the end of our live last week, I am creating these lovely, and yeah, I am slightly biased, these lovely intuitively sourced and inspired boxes. And I've called it the Angel Toolkit. I've already sold 2. And one of the ladies has already come back to me with a glowing positive review about them. So that is just for me such a blessing. I feel very grateful to have received that because my heart and the love for this creation have gone into these boxes, and selecting the tools that have gone in them, the idea behind it is all coming from the heart. It's all about me wanting to help you find something that inspires and guides you to help strengthen your intuition, strengthen your connection with the divine, strengthen your connection with the angels and spirit. However you want to work, whilst it's called an angel toolkit, it is all about just strengthening what you already have within you. We're all born with this 6th sense, as it's referred to, this our intuition, our gut instinct, our higher self knowing. There's lots of ways it's referred to. And I just love that we can use this to guide and inspire us through life and find ways to connect with that which we need in that moment. So that in itself is a blessing for me, and I just love doing that. So that's been one of the things that I've been doing in between packing up, moving house. And what else has been taking place? Just trying to think. Lots of things going on in the background with family and things. So sending out lots of energy, lots of healing thoughts and prayers, not just to my family, but to those of friends around me and others that have contacted me. So one of my goals, dreams, desires for next year is, now that I've got more space, is to create a therapy space whereby I can work either online or in person offering crystal therapy, intuitively guided healing therapy, things like that. So this is where my dreams, desires and goals are heading towards for 2024. Whilst I don't set New Year's resolutions, I do set intentions. So perhaps this is where you could be in this moment today, starting to think about what are your intentions for 2024? What is it you would like to have inspire you? And what would you like to bring into your life? I don't know about you, but New Year's resolutions tend to come and go in like a 24-hour to 7-day period. We write them out, we have these ideas of what we want to set, and then for one reason or another, we get sidetracked and we don't do them, we don't achieve them. And then that follows up with this sense of disappointment or guilt because we haven't actually achieved our New Year's resolutions, and we get into that self-talk. Oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, why didn't I do it? And for me, one of the differences I feel is about when you set an intention, you're setting it as something that's long term. It's not a short term process. It's not something that's going to bring you immediate changes or immediate gratification, whatever it is that you're looking for in that moment. It's something that takes time to grow and develop. And often as well, we're setting an intention. We give ourselves the flexibility to change it. You know, when we set a New Year's resolution, and one of the most popular ones, of course, is I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to lose X amount in weight in the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever time span we set ourselves. And then, of course, if we don't achieve that, we then get disappointed and let it go and don't follow it up. Whereas with an intention, I feel it's a difference because it has a different feel, a different energy to it, and you can be flexible with it. You can say, right, my intention for this next 4 weeks is to do X, Y, and Z. And at the end of those 4 weeks, my intention is to review it, reassess it, and see if there are any changes that need to be made. So for me, I like the word intention because it means it's something I'm intending to do. But if I don't get it done in that moment, that's okay because my intention is I will get it done in a certain period of time. So one of the great ways of working with this as well, of course, is journaling. I love journaling. I love writing in general. So using your journal to work with your intention setting as well. You can jot those ideas down and just be flexible about it, just to be open to receiving. Because when you open yourself up to receiving, something that you hadn't thought about may then pop into your mind and become a part of what it is that you want to do. And other ways to begin to get into the flow of intention setting, of manifesting, is allowing those thoughts just to pop out there, be placed in the universe, and allow it to flow to you. I had 2 lovely friends visit me today, and we were talking about this house that I'm in now and how it came about. And I said, I just set the intention that this is what I was looking for. I had the specific parameters that I wanted the house to have and be. I wasn't specific about the area that I wanted it to be in. And within 24 hours of setting those parameters, an email arrived. This house was advertised, and that was it. The intention was there. That's what I was looking for. And I just allowed it to flow to me. And then I took inspired action. So I emailed the letting agents, let them know about my interest. They rang me that afternoon. I viewed it, and here I am, all moved in. And I know that maybe sounds very simple and very easy to do. And for me, it was and it is. It's not to say that there haven't been times over the years where I've set intentions to manifest something in my life and it hasn't transpired, but then something later on, be it weeks or months, or perhaps even a year or so later, something else has come along. And whilst it's not been exactly what I was looking for, it matched what I needed. So for me, this intention and manifesting is about allowing the flow of energy to come to you, to release the stress that you put on yourself to have it, to achieve it, and the self-talk, because then we put up these energy blocks and barriers to what it is that we actually want to achieve and desire. How can we relieve our stress? That's a biggie. And one thing this time of year, Larkin was talking about this on our live last week, about how people get very stressed around this time of year with what needs to be done and where we are at. And I find that for me, short meditations throughout the day, just 5 or 10 minutes here and there, can help relieve that stress. Journaling, very much back to journaling again, is very much a great way to help relieve stress, because when you get those thoughts out, when you write them out there, when you put them down on paper and then you read them, you can actually think to yourself, well, actually, that's not so bad. It's not as bad as I'm thinking it's going to be. Or, right, okay, now I see that in black and white. What can I do to change it? What can I do to make something different about it? And also, as well, I think sometimes when you see things in black and white written down in front of you, you then realize that perhaps you don't actually need that. It's not an essential. It can be something that you can put to one side and do later. So I feel that looking at these things as well can help you to prioritize what's needed, because sometimes when it's all in our mind and it's going round and round in circles and we're back and forth with it, it can all get a bit jumbled. Yet when we write it out, we can gain clarity on it. Angels in action for us is also about calling in on the angels, calling them in to help us gain that clarity to work with. And one of the things that I wanted to sort of share with you while we were waiting for Larkin to hopefully come in was perhaps having a little conversation around the different angels and what they can do and how they can help us. You know, angels are an energetic vibration. We have our guardian angel, for example. We have the variety of angels that are out there to help us with whatever we choose. You know, you often hear being referred to the parking angel. That angel is one of perhaps the most popular ones that's called upon to be used, especially when you're first developing, if you like, and wanting to connect with angels, connect with that energy. And rather than, let's say, jumping straight to the big guns, such as the archangels or archangels, you can start with the smaller ones, the ones that perhaps are around every day, helping us with that energy of the everyday vibrational things that we need. And also, as well, for me, when you do this, when you're working with that energy, and whether it's your belief or not, it's all about the vibration of the energy and the vibration of the thought that you're putting out there. So when you put this vibrational energy out there, and my mentor always said, keep it simple. So start with the small things, start with, and I did many, many years ago when I first started learning about working with angels. I used to go out every day and ask the angel of parking to find me a parking space. I would be honest and say 99% of the time, I found that parking space almost instantly. But then there were other occasions when I perhaps had to maybe just drive around a little bit. And by driving around, I would spot somebody leaving. So whilst it wasn't always there immediately, it became present by the fact that I continued to call on the angel and just say, right, I'm still looking. Can we help find one? May also be that the particular area I was looking to park in wasn't suitable, so hence I couldn't find one to park a space there. I then had to drive off and find one somewhere else. And there's always something that will guide and inspire you to do something else. And I believe that when you do that, you trust your intuition with that. And again, another way of practicing this is, for me, I used to, when I was driving to work, I would get to a junction and I could have a choice of going in either direction and both would take me to work. And I would just go left or right, and it would be the immediate answer that popped into my head, and that would be the direction that I would take. And I used to think, well, does it make any difference, whether I go left or right, whether I trust my intuition, what's happening that it took me in a different direction. And interestingly, when I asked that question, when I moved into that energy vibration, when I got to work, I would overhear a conversation and realize that in that moment of making that choice, the reason I'd been guided to go in the opposite direction was because there was a traffic jam further down the road on the other route. So there's always something, and you may not ever hear about it. You may not know why your intuition guided you to move to that direction that you took. But there will be a reason. There will be something that will take place that you maybe never become aware of, that is why your intuition guided you to go in a different direction. Now, sometimes when we use our intuition and we're guided to go in different directions and things perhaps don't always work out, again, that may be because we did ignore the nudges from our intuition, or we were still meant to take that step, to have that experience, to learn from it. And I always feel that if you use every experience to just see where it took you. I've had times where I've made a choice. It hasn't been the choice that's been right for me in the end. But particularly, I guess I can use an example here of doing courses, enrolling for a course. And at the time of doing it, I'm all guns blazing. I'm like, this is amazing. This is wonderful. I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting this experience. And then part way through it, the vibration of it changes. The energy feels different. And I start to question it and think, why am I here? What's going on? And there have been times when I've walked away for that reason, that the energy's changed, things have shifted, and it's not felt right. One particular course took me away from it, but I met two beautiful people who became very, very good friends. And whilst we're not in touch on a regular basis now, we still are in each other's lives, and we pick up and have conversations. So whilst I didn't complete that course, I made beautiful friends. Another one that I walked away from was a very practical course. It was going to be something that I was going to put in as a beauty, when I was going down the path of being a beauty therapist. And ultimately I walked away. But shortly after I walked away, the whole course itself collapsed and just disappeared, which caused a lot of trauma for a lot of people that stayed on the course. So I think in that instance, I was saved from that traumatic experience. So there are always reasons. There's always a sense of something that you're doing is happening, and it's just a way of finding that experience. And never, for me, I learned as well, once I'd had never to question it, to just allow it to be, to go with that flow of energy, have the experience, and take what I learned from that to then build a foundation for something else. I had a conversation with a friend yesterday about something around relationships and the experiences that she's been having recently, and where she was now in this moment with her new relationship. And she said to me, I really appreciate and value what you talked to me about, she said, because the experiences that I had during those few weeks that we had interaction, she said, you told me just to see them as a way of having the experience, of not getting upset by it, not getting stressed by it, just seeing it for what it was. And she said, now I know what it is that I want in something and in someone. So there's always something, even if we think we've made a wrong choice, there's always, I feel, something to be learned from those choices. So let's get back to angels, because I think I've waffled on enough there. Angels. We have our guardian angel. They come to, I personally, I've had the experience of having 2 guardian angels around me in meditation coming through. There's one that I feel is the one that's been with me from before I was born. And for a lot of years, I wanted to know her name. I always knew it was a female energy. It felt very feminine to me, very light, very gentle. But of course, angels are believed to be androgynous. It's only how man and the writings throughout history have depicted angels as being a male or female as they look, because I feel that perhaps when they present themselves to us in imagery, they present themselves in a way that we can accept and understand. You know, if you go all the way back to Babylonian times, angels were depicted as winged messengers, but with very almost gargoyle-like faces and bodies. So you sort of can see now that if we were to sit in meditation and ask to have that angelic experience, that sort of figure coming to us would probably have us running out the door, you know, because it wouldn't be what we would expect an angel to look like, and we would then think perhaps it's not an angel at all. So as you go back through history and you look at the way angels, winged messengers as they're known as, have been depicted, there are lots that are not depicted in the what I call the lovely fluffy, you know, feathered human form. For me, when I draw angels, and for those of you that have seen my oracle cards with all the angel pictures, I'm very much drawn to seeing it as energy. So it's an energy form. So it could be swirls of color that come out, and that's how they come across to me. On the 2 occasions that I've been very blessed to have that experience of sensing, because I don't want to say see, because when we use the word seeing, I feel tend to be drawn to thinking, believing that we need to be able to see as we see with our physical eyes, as we look at things. And I've talked to many people over the years when I've been teaching and sharing that they get quite sort of upset by the fact that they say, but I can't see, I don't see them, I can't see them. And it's because we have this expectation to see them as we see physical form. So as you're looking at me on this video, you're seeing me as this human figure with the hair, the clothing, the glasses, all of that. Whereas in fact, for me, angels are an energetic vibration. They are energy, and they will come in that form. So that's how I perceive them. And that's when I'm inspired to draw them, that's how they're drawn quite often, as swirls of colour, and within that swirl of colour will come a form. I was going to say I could give you an example of how. So I feel, you know, it's to take away the expectation of seeing them as you would see with your physical eye. So this, for example, was with the, I don't know, with the sheeny light. So this was one of the very first angelic images that I drew, and I call this Twin Love because as I look at it, I personally see a pair of wings, but I also see two figures. It's a bit like when you look at the cloud formation and it starts to bring forth, imagery. So this was another one, the angel of teaching. So again, this one came through to me as I was drawing this. It was just like I just wanted to draw lines of color, and I just drew these lines and lines and lines and kept going. And it wasn't until it was finished that then I was able to see with my physical eye the form that it was bringing. Where else are we? So another one. Again, these are like blobs of color, but again, for me, this formed Archangel Michael. And as I drew, these have been 15 years worth of drawings. This one had a more physical form, I feel. But again, it just started as color coming out. So if you're first starting out wanting to work with angels and learn about how to connect with them and feel that you want to be able to see them, take away the expectation of seeing them in physical form. If you go out now and you look online and Google angel artists, of which there are a lot out there, you will see some people do draw the physical form. You look in the Bible, you see images of the angels that were sat on the hill, bringing the message of Jesus being born. They are drawn as human form. Go into other areas and they're drawn as just like wings. So there's always going to be a different perception of how they will present themselves. But if you start off just being observant of the fact that they are just an energy vibration, and that this energy vibration will then formulate into something that becomes what you perceive. And it may be that you only perceive them as a color. It may be that you perceive this as a feeling, a sensation. It's all about using our different senses as well, and working with those senses and doing this with meditational practice, but finding how it works for you, what it is that you connect with. I'm very much, I call myself an experiential learner. So I learn by having the experiences. So it took me a long time to understand that in this format of being learning spiritually and learning about angels. At work, it's very easy. I worked in the operating theatres for 40 years. So my learning was by doing. So to transpose that experiential learning into learning how to work with angels, at first I went down this, well, I can't see them. I want to see them, because that was how I perceived other people connected with their angels, was by seeing them with the physical eye. It wasn't until I started using the medium of artwork that then I began to perceive angels in my way and how they came to me. And it's from there that this oracle deck grew and became a part of the way I work now. So initially, as I recall, when I started, it was about colour for me as well. So having being open to just being intuitively guided to pick a colour. So this is something that I've incorporated into my angel toolkit. One of the things that you get as part of the toolkit is an A4 piece of artwork that is a colouring page, and you use that just to sit and colour to help you and just be guided with colours. There's no set colour. If you wanted to colour it all purple, that's great. If you wanted to use a variety of different colours, that's great too. It's about allowing yourself the experience of being open to the flow of connecting with the angels and using a tool to help you do that. So for me, it's about being creative. I feel, using your own creative inspiration to help you with that connection. I was told when I was a child at school that I'd never make an artist. I wanted to do art. I did it right through up until we had to choose what exams we were going to take. Here in the UK, they were called O levels and A levels. Now I'm not even sure what they are now. They went to become GCSEs, but yeah. So we have an exam format, and then we get to an age where we have to choose which exams we're going to take. And I wanted to do art, and my art teacher said to me, "Don't choose this subject. You'll never make an artist. Your artwork is rubbish," effectively was what they were saying to me. That had a huge impact on me. And for years and years and years, I believed I couldn't draw, I couldn't do art, and I just didn't even try. And this was part of my journey with the inspiration and the guidance that I began to receive when I started to work with the angels, was to draw. And for a long time, I ignored it. I really thought, well, I can't, I was told at school I'd never make an artist. So hence I didn't. And now I have over 30 drawings or more that have been inspired to draw. So it's how you make that connection, I feel. So finding where you're inspired, you might find you want to start writing, and just being inspired to do that and use words to bring forth that angelic connection. You might find you're inspired to work with crystals to bring forth that connection. It's truly, for me, about what inspires you. I can tell you how I was inspired, what worked for me, but it may not be a tool that works for you. So who are our angels? We've talked a little bit about our guardian angel. I mentioned that I feel I have two. One that I connect with a lot, one that comes in every now and then. But my main one, I feel, is a very feminine energy. And for a lot of years, I went through all the meditations of practicing to meet my guardian angel, and it never happened. And the more it didn't happen, the more I guess I got tense about it. I would worry. I'd think, well, why can't I do this? Why everybody else is in these group things that I used to go to, or courses that I went on? Everybody would have come out and they'd have this wonderful experience, or they'd draw this angel, and I'd be like, well, why can't I do that? And then the realization over time came, the more I was pressuring myself to do it, the more I was actually blocking myself from doing it. And I stopped. I just said, okay, thank you. I trust that you're with me. I trust that you're there helping and guiding me. And I no longer really want to know what your name is. And with that energy, my whole vibration shifted. And it was probably in weeks or months, I couldn't tell you now. So it was quite a long time ago. But I remember just putting it all to one side and just thinking, yeah, having a little conversation every day with my guardian angel, just saying thank you for being with me, thank you for being here. I appreciate all your help, etc. So even then, I was practicing gratitude without actually really understanding how the process of having gratitude helps you in your growth with your connection, your spirituality, your intuition. And that, again, is a whole nother topic that we can go on about. But yeah, it began. So I just let go of this desire, this need. I feel when you get to a point where you need it, you want it so much, you do put up this barrier of energy that becomes something that their wonderful light vibration can't always get through. We have to be vibrating an almost similar light energy for them to be able to connect with us. So yeah, so I forgot about it, and I remember I'd been I started going to a development group at a church, and we would talk to sit every evening at the same time every evening, uh, and do a meditation for as long as we could, with the intention of connecting to spirit. And this was how they worked. And I was doing this practice, and I don't know where I went. I went off into my little meditation space, and I started to have this memory. It wasn't a visualization, it wasn't a vision, it was a memory. And I had this memory of watching a cartoon, which was called Tom and Jerry. And for those of you that know it, there's this lady in the Tom and Jerry cartoon that you only ever see her slippered foot. And I don't know why, but this slippered foot came to mind, and I almost felt like I'd got a metaphorical kick up the backside. And what came to me was that everywhere I'd been going, I'd been hearing the name Bella. I'd been seeing the name Bella written down. I'd heard people were like talking about Bella, and it was just like this instant aha moment. That's my guardian angel's name. And in this process of having this memory, there was like this round of applause, and I just knew that that was my guardian angel's name. So how they come to you, when they come to you, is just a matter of just being open to receiving. So our guardian angel really is with us to, as I say, guide and inspire us. They're not with us to dictate to us or tell us what we do. They're not here to take away our free will and our choices. They are here just to provide that guidance. The only time, my belief is, and from what I've learned through practices and through other people's teachings, is that they will only step in if they really feel there's a necessity for them to do so within the journey of our life. I have two very, very strong memories now of that happening, where I was saved, for want of a better phrase, by my angels. One was, I was walking down the road. I was just about to cross the road from behind a bus, obviously something you should never do, but the traffic behind the bus was at a standstill. It was almost like a traffic jam. And I thought, well, I'd looked, the road on the opposite side was clear. I went to step out behind the bus. As I did so, I felt this hand in the middle of my back just forcefully pull me back onto the pavement. And as that happened, this car just went whizzing past. Now, another step forward, that car would have hit me. When I turned to thank the person who'd pulled me back onto the pavement, there was nobody there, because I just assumed somebody had stepped off the bus, seen what I was about to do, saw the car, and obviously saved me. Not a soul in sight. So that was one instance. And another one was when I was in hospital. I'd had an allergic reaction to something. I went back into hospital, and I was going to be given the same drug again. And I'd already said I didn't want it because I knew I'd had this allergic reaction to it. The doctor was very supportive and very understanding, and was like, you'll be fine. It will give you this medication to help you with the drug, and everything will be okay. And I was laid on my bed reading my book. The only other patient in the ward with me was a lovely little old lady who was fast asleep in the bed in the corner. And as I sat there reading my book, I went icy cold from head to foot. And this loud, booming voice, which, if it had been somebody speaking normally, would have sounded like they were shouting and filled the room, and would have woken everybody who was asleep up. But it didn't. But this loud voice said, if you have that test tomorrow, you will die. And I literally was ice cold. And I leapt off the bed, looked around the ward. It was a little 4-bedded ward, not a soul in sight. I actually went across to look and see if the old lady who was sleeping in the other bed had woken up and spoken to me. She was fast asleep. Looked out in the corridor because it was night time. All the lights were off down the ward. People were gently snoring. There wasn't a soul in sight. I actually physically walked down the ward to go to the nurse's station to say to the nurse, I think I need a cup of tea, please, because I was shaking so much from that experience. And I went the next day for the test because I sort of ignored that warning voice because I was in my 20s, and I was like, I guess, a bit naive to the nuances of what was happening. I wasn't really at this stage of my learning where I was with working with angels and my spiritual experiences and growth and everything. So I sort of questioned, and I thought I then told myself in the morning that I'd imagined it, that I dreamt it, even though I knew it was very, very real. And so I continued across to the department to have the test. A friend came to sit with me because I was worried, I was concerned because of the reaction that I'd had to it previously. And she was like, Sue, if you don't want to have it, don't have it. But I said, but how will I know what's wrong with me if I don't have the test? So anyway, this conversation went on, and they came out, took my notes, went back in, and then the nurse came back out. Well, it was a radiographer. Radiographer came back out, and she said to me, because you're allergic to this drug, we're not going to give it to you. We're not going to give you this test because, and her words were that the radiologist didn't want to lose his, what we call GMC registration. So it's the General Medical Council. Didn't want to lose his registration because the risk of me not surviving was extremely high. So because I feel to this day that because I'd ignored that warning the night before and continued to go across and have the test, the angels stepped in and stopped them from doing it. And I believe that with all my heart to this day, that that's what happened. So there are extremes, if you like, occasions where they will step in to change the course of something that you're doing, because there's a reason for you needing to still be here or doing what it is that you're going to do. There are deeper conversations that we can have around why, if that's the case, does this not happen to other people who have accidents or, don't survive traumas, things like that. That's a whole very deep spiritual conversation, which we maybe will have when Larkin's around as well, so that we can share our thoughts on those as well. But I want to keep this sort of at a level where it's nice and sort of light, but also showing you how they can help us. There have been other experiences where I've had accidents and I've been injured, and I've thought, well, why didn't you step in and prevent that from happening? As small as they are, sometimes I fell downstairs and injured my ankle so badly I was off my feet for 8 weeks. But as I looked at that experience, I'd been working 50, 60 hours a week up until that point. I was tired. I was ignoring my own physical needs, and literally the carpet was taken out from under my feet and I was made to rest. These are extremes, but these are things that can happen to us if we don't look after ourselves and our needs, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I call it pulling the rug from out of our feet. We can have so many inspired thoughts, moments of, I shouldn't do that, or I need to change doing that. And we don't, we continue to do it. So a bit like my experience with the hospital, I chose to ignore the message and I continued, but they changed it and stopped it from happening. in other circumstances. I was in a job that I absolutely loved, but there was a situation was taking place with a member of staff where I was being bullied, and this consistent thought in my mind was, you need to leave, you need to leave, you need to leave. And I'm like, no, I don't want to leave. I love this job. And then it was like, what do I do if I leave? If I leave, I'm not going to have any money. Will I not have any work? What will I do? How will I pay? And all of those thoughts began to manifest as well. So, of course, I listened to those instead of listening to my heart and my intuition. So I stayed in the job until it got to the point that the choice was made for me and I had to leave. So they work with us in beautiful, inspired ways, but also in ways that they would try to bring to our attention what we need to be paying attention to. I have a friend who quite a few years ago was in a job that things were starting to turn sour, and I kept saying to him, you need to leave, you need to, and he was like, no, I enjoy this job, I really love what I do, I can't leave. And he gave all sorts of variety of reasons why he couldn't leave, till it got to the point that his choice was made for him, but in not a very nice way. So had he chosen to leave perhaps the year or 6 months prior to that, things could have been different. But he chose to continue to ignore the little messages, the little nuances, the little clues, if you like, that things weren't right and needed to change until the choice was made for him. So I feel very much that we should always listen to that nugget of inspired inspiration and work with what it is that's taking place, but use with it the attitude of gratitude, as they call it. Be grateful, because when we get to this point of thinking, I can't possibly change, I can't do this, I have to stay here. So like I did with the job, I have to stay here for a whole variety of reasons. Then I didn't really understand all the, the practices that we could bring into play that help, calling on the angels, listening to our angels, asking them to help us in ways that perhaps we don't realize that they are actually helping us. So it's just allowing yourself to find the right tools to bring forth into your awareness the way that you can change your thoughts and how to become inspired by those changes. Now, it doesn't always mean that the changes will happen instantly. It may be a process of understanding what we need to do, the next step we need to take. It's not necessarily that we go from point A to point Y in an instant. We might need to go from point A to B to D to F and so on, and do it baby steps at a time by listening to that guidance, that inspiration, and really starting to work with the angels through meditation, through journaling, we can use crystals and color to help us to connect to our angels as well. And for me, I'm going quiet because I just feel it's about just listening, just really tuning in to how you feel, what it is that is making you feel the way that you do, and becoming aware of those sensations in your body, and just then changing that sense, that feeling that's coming in, and moving forward in a more positive way. And as I was saying, one of those ways is to start using gratitude, start just being grateful for what you do and have on a daily basis, and just seeing how that then shifts the vibrational energy around you. Because when we get into the stress and the trauma and the drama of what's taking place, we come embroiled in that energy, and that vibration is quite dense and quite heavy, and then we shut ourselves off to the guidance and inspiration that we're receiving. So going back to talking about the angels, we have most people know the 7 main archangels, as they're referred to, and we've got Michael and Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Jophiel, Shamuel, different ways of Shamuel, and Zadkiel. And these are all ones that I have a particular fondness for and love to connect with. Michael is one of my divine favourites, and at the moment I am connecting quite strongly with Michael. We've taken a bit of a break for the past couple of weeks because of the house move and everything, but up until then I was working with creating a new oracle deck with Archangel Michael, and at first I thought it was just going to be with Michael, but then once I'd completed the cards with him, he then was like, right, we need to incorporate other angels as well. So I'm now working with Gabriel. So Michael is very much depicted as the warrior angel. You often see pictures of him holding a sword, slaying Satan, and he brings about protection, courage, and strength. But he's also said to be the leader of the heavenly army as well. So hence why he feels to be for me, a very warrior-like energy. As I was saying earlier, angels aren't always necessarily fluffy and feathery. They can be very warrior-like, very strong, very powerful sort of feeling and energy, and very protective. So I wrote a beautiful poem, I'll try and find it, about the warrior angels and how they are there, around us and connecting with us. So Michael, for most of us, he connects on the blue ray. He connects with, and the blue ray is connected to the throat chakra, which is connected to the color blue. So there's lots of ways that you can incorporate working with the angels, bringing them together within the energy vibration of your physical and spiritual and mental and emotional bodies as well, because everything is holistic. For me, we look at everything as a whole, not just as a separation or as one layer of this and one layer of that. We are a physical body with a mental and emotional state. We have a spiritual body as well. And when you bring that all into a holistic energy of being, then you work with all of those things. So you balance your emotions, you balance your thoughts, you balance your feelings, you balance your physical body by keeping it, nurtured in the ways that work for you. So the foods that you enjoy, the foods that you feel are right for your body, physical exercise, whether that be running, going to a gym, swimming, doing yoga, walking, whatever is right for you and your body. All these things combined are what then help you to create and find the tools to create and work with the angels that you want to work with. So when you're working with Michael, you're working on the color vibration of blue. You're working on communication. You're working on being able to vocalize and speak your thoughts, your feelings. Now, whether you speak them vocally or whether you speak them in your mind, when you're working with the angelic realms, is entirely up to you and how it feels right for you. Yeah. So we've got Gabriel. Gabriel is known as the messenger, and again, Gabriel is about communication and guidance, but for me it's about more with Gabriel, it's more about having those aha moments of understanding what is being brought to our awareness, what is being shown to us, what is being revealed, if you like. So obviously, he was there heralding the arrival of the messages such as the birth of Jesus. So for me, he's an angelic. Some people refer to Gabriel as a he, some people refer to Gabriel as a she. It's all about the vibrational energy that connects with you. But Gabriel is very much about bringing messages of significance. If I was to say intuitively who that angel was when I had that moment in the hospital, I very much feel it was Michael, because it was very powerful, it was very strong, it was very warrior-like in the energy that he came through with, but also it was very protective. It was the feeling of I was being protected. And of course, what happened the following day, I was definitely protected. So one of my absolute favourite angels, I mean, all my angels are all my favourites. I love them all. I love working with their different energies. But one, of course, being a nurse and a healthcare professional, Raphael. And Raphael, I forgot to mention, Gabriel for me comes in on the colours of like gold and yellow, and sometimes platinum as well, sort of a silvery platinum sort of colour. So that's how I get the sense that Gabriel's around. And for me as well, it may not be a visual sense of noticing, seeing. I might notice, one of the things I share when I talk about this is I remember learning to work with Gabriel, and everywhere I walked I would see posters that were either gold or yellow, so I knew that that was Gabriel's way of showing me that he was around. And for me, Gabriel feels like a very sort of masculine energy. Raphael, of course, is all about healing work, comes in on the color green, very heart chakra based energy as well, so bringing in a lot of love, care, compassion, forgiveness, all of those vibrational emotions and energy. And very supportive of those needing healing, but also very supportive of those who bring care and healing in. So, works very closely with the nurses, doctors, healthcare professionals, therapists, whatever form you are offering that supportive healing energy, then Raphael will be around as well. Uriel for me is about wisdom, enlightenment, and I find for me Uriel is perhaps either a very, very pale blue or a very muted yellow, because a lot of people will also consider Jophiel to be a very vibrant yellow. So again, whilst there is guidance out there around the colours for what the angels are, Uriel also could be pink as well, is how I sense them. It's about going out, look, if you want to read books, go online and research the colours and the connections. That's absolutely fantastic to do so, because it gives you a place to start if it's something you're not used to doing. If you're not used to working with the angelic realms, then you can start with colour and crystals and use the associated colours and crystals in those colours to help you make those connections. But then you will find over time, I believe, that you will get your own sense of the colours that they come in on, the vibrational colours. So nothing, for me, nothing is set in stone. There's always going to be a nuance of difference for you as the unique individual that you are. So I always say, take what resonates, use it. If it doesn't, find something that does. So it's said that Uriel is associated with providing insights and inspiration, as are all the angels. They all provide insights and inspiration. But if you want to be very specific, then you can use these angels to call upon them, to work with them, to make those connections, to strengthen that information and awareness that they're going to bring you. Jophiel for me is very much bright yellow, an absolutely glorious bright yellow. It's like sunshine, but even brighter. And Jophiel is about creativity. It's about joy. Jophiel feels like a very feminine energy for me. So I love working with Jophiel, and Jophiel is connected to the solar plexus. That's said to be the seat of our power. It's where we can emanate our confidence, our self-esteem from. So if you're going through something that's perhaps drawing on your confidence, drawing on your self-esteem, you feel like it's lacking in some way, or you feel like you're being pulled out of that energy, you can call on Jophiel to really embrace the joy of love, compassion, just creating that energy. It doesn't have to be about creating something as in artwork or writing or whatever, but it's about just really embracing what you are creating for yourself. So really use Jophiel to help you with that. It's such a beautiful, I'm feeling a glow in my solar plexus as I'm talking about it and talking about him. And again, I see, even though Jophiel is about beauty, I also see Jophiel as a very masculine energy as well, because it's also connecting that to that inner strength, that inner power that we have within ourselves. We've got Camuel or Shamuel or Camuel, however you want to pronounce this beautiful angel's name. And this angel is associated with love, compassion, for me, forgiveness, and is all about connecting us with our relationships, be they romantic relationships or family relationships, peer relationships, friendships, anything that is relationship inspired, then call on this angel to help you work with those. Even if you see a relationship ending and it's not going to work for you anymore, you can still call in the beauty of this energy of Shamuel and really help strengthen your own love and nurturing for yourself. I also see Shamuel as very much a warrior angel as well, because for me, some people will say this angel comes in on the color of red. I also see Shamuel as coming in on the pink. So we're working with, for me, the energy of the root chakra, but also the energy of the heart chakra, because we've got the pinks and the reds and the two coming in together. Red can also be connected to the heart because it's very much about love and romance. We see red roses, we use the color red for that reason, but red can also be very much a powerful color. It's a power color. It can be used to help you stand up for yourself or what you need to say. So there's a lot for me, even though he's seen as the romance angel, I also see him as a warrior angel, because for me, the color red and Shamuel is connected to Mars, and Mars is seen as a warrior as well. So there's lots of connections that you can make with our gods, our goddesses, our angels, our color, and just bring it all in to help you to invoke that whole holistic energy to work with your angels and bring in this beautiful, loving, powerful energy, because they all have it. They all have this beautiful, loving, powerful energy that when you start to work with them, when you start to draw them in, when you start to embrace what they bring you, it all has to, for me, come from the heart. This is our, for me, this is our how can I describe it? It's the core essence of everything we are, we have, and we can be in life. I'm being reminded that before we're ever born, we are just this energy vibration of love, and our spirit, our soul, however you want to describe it, whatever you want to describe it as, is pure love for me. That was the experience that I had many years ago when I was learning and meditating, I was shown this facet that our spirit, our soul is pure love. Then we come into the physical form. We have our experiences through life that take us in the directions that we go. And when we return to that spirit soul energy, we return to that energy of pure love again. And for me, sometimes when we are in that energy of love and compassion, yes, we want to be soft and gentle and kind, but also sometimes we have to be strong. We have to be able to speak our mind. We have to be able to say with love and share what it is that we feel. You know, I've recently had friends go through relationship breakups, you know, and for both of them, they've known for like a year or so that this wasn't working for them. It needed to change. And for whatever reasons, they stayed within the relationship until it came to the point that they knew something had to change. And the change was to make the separation. So calling on Shamuel in those circumstances as well is about then having the awareness of being able to do what you need to do to change that relationship in a way that's loving, caring and compassionate, but also coming from a energy of power as well. So Shamuel for me is very much that energy of power, but love and compassion. It's like having the strength and the love, but balancing the two. So again, we can work with Shamuel with red crystals, the color red. Using, I love color, as you can see, but also being aware that when you're working with the color red, you're also balancing the root chakra as well as the heart, because I believe that when you start to work spiritually, when you start to develop your own spiritual growth, awareness, strengths, you need to be rooted in Mother Earth. You need to have that energy of being grounded as well, so that then you can make that connection with your higher self, the higher realms, whatever you want to, however you want to choose to do that with, because when you're not rooted in the earth and the grounding isn't there, you can be distracted. You know, I was once told by my mentor, they used the phrase, be away with the fairies. So people think that perhaps you have to be all in the higher, you know, the upper chakras, so the heart, the throat, the third eye, the crown, to be able to make these intuitive connections, to build this energy vibration of connection with the angelic realms, with spirit. In reality, for me, you have to balance your lower chakras first, the root, the solar plexus, the sacral, to keep everything in balance, in harmony, so that when you make that connection, you've got that energy of groundedness to become aware of what it is that you're doing when you make these connections. So another angel that I love to work with and is classed as being one of the 7 archangels is Zadkiel. And Zadkiel for me is very much about spirituality, the colour purple, connecting with the third eye and the crown, very much about teaching us wisdom, but also others will say he's about compassion and mercy and forgiveness. I believe that all of the angels are about these things, because if we can't be in that energy of mercy, compassion, forgiveness, then our vibration is not light and gentle enough to be able to make the connections to the angels and to really bring them into our awareness and being. You know, when we're in that energy of not wanting to forgive somebody, of really feeling a sense of dislike, disharmony with this, with whoever they are, we're actually in that vibrational energy ourselves, and our bodies are not liking it. You know, if you think about somebody with that energy of not liking them, you know, disharmony, people say I get a bitter taste in my mouth, and that's why, because it's the energy vibration that we're bringing through. So again, if we've got something going on in our lives where we're feeling like that, then you can call on the angels and call on Zadkiel, call on Raphael to help you bring in love, compassion, forgiveness. I was having a conversation yesterday with somebody about forgiveness, and we all say, you hear it, other people talk about it and say it. It's not about condoning the actions of what that person did. It's about giving them the forgiveness. You don't even necessarily have to say it to that person, because they don't know how you're feeling, because they're in their awareness of what's going on. They may not see that what they've done as being wrong or causing any trauma or harm. So for them, the fact that you're in this energy of not forgiving them, of not liking them, whatever, they're not aware of it. So it's not making a difference to them, but you're the one that's holding on to that feeling, that energy. And over time, I refer to it as like having a little pimple on your chin. It's a little tiny irritation. You can feel it, it's there, but so then you start to just keep poking it. You poke it, you poke it, you poke it, and you don't like it, because then it starts to get a bit tender, it starts to get a bit sore, and then it's getting a bit bigger and a bit bigger, and then it becomes really painful, to the point that you've perhaps got an abscess or a boil. We're talking physical extremes here, but this is the analogy of when we hold on to this need to not forgive somebody, to not offer compassion. We're festering this energy, if you like. It's become part of us, and we're holding on to it. We're getting that bitter taste in our mouth. We're having these thoughts, and we are really just not feeling good. We don't feel good about it. Once you start to work with forgiveness and offering this compassion, you're not condoning what the other person's done. They're not aware of what, because you're not actually saying it to them. They're not aware of it anyway, but by putting that vibrational energy out there, by shifting that change, you shift the energy vibration within yourself, and you start to feel lighter. You start to feel better about it. You then may find that relationships around you are changing, maybe not with this particular person, but with other things that are taking place, things that perhaps you've deemed as thinking, oh, that's not gone right. Why is it not gone right? All of a sudden, things are starting to go right. Things are starting to move for you. Perhaps physical aches and pains that you've got going on are starting to shift and change as well. So there's a whole thing that can happen when you shift your own vibrational energy. And of course, you can call on Zadkiel to do that, to help you with that as well. So he helps you to promote this energy of forgiveness, to help you to find it, less of a struggle, if you like, to forgive something or someone. So it's looking like Larkin's not joining us. I do know that she's had an awful lot going on recently at home and with the animals that she tends to and cares for. So I know people have been watching in and listening, and thank you very much for doing so. I deeply appreciate that you've been here. I'm going to love and leave you all. I'm going to wish you all a wonderful festive season, however you celebrate it, whatever it is that you do for this time. And if we don't see you before, we will see you in 2024. So much love and blessings to you all. In 2024, as I say, I will be online offering in-person, for want of a better word, therapy sessions. So if there's something that you want to work with, that you feel the angels can help you with, whether it be you want to strengthen that connection and start to learn to work with the angels, or there's something going on in your life that you would like some help with, I am going to be offering sessions in quantum healing. So I'm studying quantum healing at the moment. So there will be that up and coming, which I can do online. And also I'm hoping I will be able to do locally. For those of you that live near me, you'll be able to come and see me. Crystal therapy sessions as well. And with crystal therapy, it can be done, it can be done on a Zoom call. It doesn't have to be in person. We can work that way as well. I also will be using my intuitive readings to help guide you through things as well. So yeah, and I've got 2 lovely new decks of cards. Pooh Bear is one of my, Alice in Wonderland and Pooh Bear were both childhood books that I love to read, and they're now in the Major Arcana Tarot. So yeah, so I'm just looking forward to working with those as well. So I'll be available for readings. As I mentioned before, there's the Angel Toolkit that's going to be available in the new year. At the moment, the way the Angel Toolkit works is that I put together crystals, things to help you work with the one particular chakra, be it the heart, the throat, solar plexus. So that will be the main box of the toolkit. Will have that, whichever chakra you choose to work with. So for instance, I've just sold the heart and the throat. And then once you've got that toolkit, if you want to work with all the other chakras, I am then making additional mini kits, which will be crystal inspired, will have little oils and other things with it that will be to work with with the other chakras, and there would be one for each of the chakras as well. So eventually you could start off with your main toolkit box and then have the add-ons, which will then give you all 7 chakras to work with. So that's up and coming for the new year, for 2024 as well. And Larkin and I are looking at offering individual group sessions where we'll work together with you as well, with working with angels, angel parties, that sort of thing. They're all coming up in 2024 as well. And of course, check out Larkin's pages, check out what she has individual offerings going on as well. And yeah, thank you so much for being with us. If you haven't already, do follow us on YouTube. We'd love you to be part of the YouTube family, and like and subscribe to the YouTube page. So thank you so much, everybody. For those of you that come and watch the replay, I hope you enjoy what I've waffled on about for an hour, and I look forward to seeing you all in 2024. Take care, have a wonderful festive season, and much love and blessings to you all. Bye for now. Bye bye.